Updated November 10, 2017 171,419. The collective panic that was generated when Tim Cahill went over on his ankle last week was absurdly disproportionate. Don't take this as a belittlement of Cahill's international record or influence. In fact, I defy you to find someone who worships the man as I do. But ahead of a match in which Australia will be without Matt Leckie, Mark Milligan and Robbie Cruz, Cahill's absence is small fry. And it most certainly is not the make-or-break factor that will decide this two-legged World Cup qualification tie. The challenge that faces the Socceroos both in Honduras and then back home in Sydney is substantial, but not insurmountable. Timmy, the Socceroos are capable of reaching Russia 2018. Cahill's influence had waned anyway. First things first, let's put to bed the notion that Australia is overly reliant on Cahill's play. Goals, yes, but overall hardly. No longer a guaranteed starter, Cahill's role under Ange Postecoglou has been mostly as an impact sub, with that impact declining somewhat over the past couple of years. You will no doubt remember his 2 goals against Syria, but can you remember the last goal he scored before then? It came more than a year ago, in October 2016 away in the UAE. His greatest attribute nowadays is his strength of will, and his magnificent forehead, and his absence is not going to change the way the Socceroos set up and play against Honduras. If he can get himself up for 15 minutes in the second leg, then so much the better. But the Socceroos shouldn't be relying on him at this point anyway, and it's unlikely they will miss him too badly. Honduras only barely scraped a playoff spot. You think Australia was fortunate to get to this point of qualification? It took one of the great capitulations of all time for Honduras to sneak through its CONCACAF group and into a playoff. Most fans back in Honduras had pretty much resigned themselves to the fact the World Cup hopes were over when the US contrived to lose the unlosable against Trinidad and Tobago and spark a national footballing crisis. The Hondurans were spirited and a little bit fortunate in the decisive win 32 over Mexico, and now find themselves as the Socceroos' last remaining obstacle. But boy did they make hard work of qualifying. 3 wins, 4 draws and 3 losses, with a goal difference of -6, doesn't inspire too much fear. They were beaten 60 by the US in March and 30 by Mexico in June. Los Catrachos are not a team to underestimate, for sure, but you could make a case that Australia has already faced tougher opposition in Asian qualifying. The Socceroos don't lose at home. Australia's home qualifying record is actually insane, only 1 loss in the last 58 matches. And with the draw kindly offering the Socceroos a home leg second, it means they only really need to avoid being blown away in Estadio Olimpico Metropolitano to feel like they have a realistic shot on Wednesday night. Fight out a draw, or even cop a narrow loss, and 80,000 fans in Sydney, with memories of Uruguay and John Aloisi and Josh Kennedy, suddenly come into play. A war suits Australia down to the ground. It's been hard work to track down any meaningful analysis of Honduras and the tactics it will deploy, and this piece does little to remedy that, but the comments of its own coach suggest these will be no soft touches. On the pitch, it will be a war. Jorge Luis Pinto said, doing his best David Warner impression. So it is fair to expect the Hondurans will be cracking in, and the Aussies wouldn't want it any other way. Too often in matches against Asian opponents, physicality is quickly taken out of the game by some theatrics and overzealous refereeing, but if Honduras is up for a scrap, you can rest assured the Socceroos will be too. Topics: Socceroos, Soccer World Cup, Soccer, Sport. Honduras first posted November 10, 2017 140,235.